Imagine you are in your 50s. You live an ordinary life, making your morning coffee, reading the newspaper, and then the truth bursts into your home and turns your whole world upside down. Now imagine that this truth comes not from an enemy, a lover, or even the state, but from your own father, the father you trusted as much as yourself. This story is about that. I was sitting on the veranda at the time. It was Sunday, and I was cleaning my old grill as usual, preparing for dinner with friends. My phone vibrated. The number was unfamiliar, and I'm not the type to answer the phone from just anyone, but this time something compelled me to answer it. "It's Daisy," I heard the caller say, "the mother of your father's child." And then something clicked inside me. It was as if someone had shot into the air next to my ear. My father, 60 years old, retired, living alone after my mother's death, and suddenly a child. And not just an affair with someone my age, but a 24-year-old neighbor from the neighborhood. I dropped everything and went to my dad's house. He opened the door as usual, calm, with a cup of tea in his bathrobe, as if nothing had happened. "What's wrong, son?" His eyebrows fluttered. Only for a second. "It's complicated," he began. "Complicated? You have a child with a girl 20 years younger than me, and you didn't even remember." A wave of anger washed over me, not for the fact itself, but for how quietly, without a trace, he erased it from our lives. While I was breaking myself down at work, while I was trying to rebuild my life after the divorce, while my mother was dying in the hospital, my father was living a second life with a young neighbor. And now he has a son, a brother who is not even a year old. And this brother is my bloody cross, which I did not ask for. But an even bigger blow was waiting for me ahead. Because, as it turned out, this story had already spread throughout our neighborhood. The pensioners on the benches outside the store were already buzzing like a beehive. Instead of discussing the weather, they were only saying, "That's your old man, well done." And, "Did you know that kid is your brother?" Shame, anger, powerlessness. All this boiled up inside me like a kettle on the stove, and I did not know how to turn off this whistling. I remembered how in my childhood he disappeared to the bottom, as if on a business trip. How my mom used to cry into her pillow when she thought I couldn't hear. How he could not answer the phone for 3 days and then return with cheap gifts as if nothing had happened. And then I thought maybe Daisy wasn't the first. And even worse, he was giving her money. A lot of a car. For an apartment. From the pension fund that we were supposed to share with him to repair the house. And he threw it all to her. To a young, comfortable, beautiful woman until she got pregnant. Then he got scared, and he ran away. I stood in his kitchen, with my fists clenched. His eyes were guilty but calm. And then I realized this is not just a mistake. It was a choice. His choice was not to choose me, not my mom, but himself. And that's when I heard the baby screaming from the street. I looked out the window and saw her. Daisy standing at the gate, a boy in her arms. "He wants to see you," she said. And I didn't know what to say. What should I do? Do I stay close by and try to figure it out? Or do I just walk away, leaving behind the dirt and the baby's scream that would still echo in my head? Because the truth is just beginning, and the past will no longer be silent. It was not only the betrayal that tormented me. I was tormented by the thought, what did this 24-year-old beauty see in my 60-year-old father? Why not a guy her own age? Why not a new IT guy, which is a lot in the city? And my old man, with chronic back pain, gray hair, and coffee stains on his shirt. Daisy and I met that evening. She suggested that we talk like adults. She sat across from me on a bench by an old oak tree. Her eyes were cold, but not sad. They were confident. She was young, with perfectly drawn eyebrows, an iPhone in her pocket, and a brand new car in the parking lot. "Do you want to know why this happened?" she asked. I just nodded, although I didn't know if I really wanted to hear it. He was differentive. He listened to me. Not like those infantile assholes who only like things on Instagram. Your father was stable, experienced, and I knew he wouldn't run away. And then it hit me. He wouldn't. Are you serious? He's already gone. He left you and the baby and me, his only fucking life. He lied to everyone. And did you know that he had a son my age? Oh, I knew, she answered calmly, but I didn't care. Do you know what it's like to sit next to a person who has destroyed your family and listen to them say that they don't care? It's not just an insult. It's as if someone spat right in your soul. And she sits there, calm, beautiful. The youth that I will never get back. That's what made me even angrier. I remembered how my mom was in the hospital. She had cancer. The terminal stage. And how my dad disappeared for a few days, saying that he was going to a sanatorium to treat his nerves. That's when I thought something was wrong. And it turned out he went to see her. To Daisy. And maybe he conceived this kid already then. Daisy didn't work. Not at all. Nothing. Where'd the money come from? New car. Fixing up the place. I saw it all. Meanwhile, my father was selling my mother's old jewelry, saying it was for unforeseen expenses. He was lying. He saw how I was struggling to pay off my loans and kept silent. He fed the young girl while his son dusted the supermarket shelves. But the most disgusting thing was that I didn't know who I was angry with more. At him for his betrayal. Or at myself, because now this screaming baby in a stroller is my brother. I didn't ask for any brother. I only asked him to be my father. Maybe she just used him. I thought, honor. Maybe he went there himself because he wanted to feel once again that he was a man, not a grandfather. Maybe it's not about love, but about the fear of death. And then it hit Meg. They were both just running away, and it was she from poverty, he from old age. And they found something in each other that temporarily gave them the illusion that time can be deceived. Maybe I even envied them a little. I am a divorce, with scars on my soul, without children, with broken dreams, and my dad, 60 years old, and he was still able to become a father before I even learned to be a man. It was destroying me. I didn't know what to do. Getting angry was useless. Running away was even worse. But I had to know the truth to the end, because something in the story didn't add up. There was too much silence, too many stares, too much money that appeared out of nowhere. And then I found out that Daisy had once worked in a massage parlor that had long been closed because of night services. What if it wasn't a novel, but a play? There is something unbearable when a grown woman, your mother, who has been strong all her life, starts crying at night, slowly under the covers, so that no one could hear, but I heard, and every sound of her crying cut me like a blade. I returned to my mom's after talking to Daisy. My heart felt like a bag of broken glass. Our mom was sitting in the kitchen on the same stool that my grandfather had made in the 50s. Hands in her lap, eyes on the floor. He didn't call again, she said. I just poured her some tea in silence. Because what can you say to a woman who, after 40 years of marriage, was simply thrown out of life? My father used to carry my mother in his arms. I remember how they used to laugh as children, spinning around in the kitchen, cooking borscht as if they were at a ball. They lived modestly, but with love. And then cancer. And something broke in him. Though it was as if he was tired of being a man. Instead of fighting alongside me, he disappeared. My mom held on as best she could. She was treated, went to chemotherapy, lost her hair, but did not lose her dignity. And even when he came home with foreign odors on his clothes, she remained silent. He changed. I don't recognize him, she would tell me in a whisper. He looked strange, like a stranger. When later, those nights became similar to each other. She would lie there, and I would be in the other room listening to her cry, quietly at first, then louder, and I don't know what to do. Do I comfort her? Or tell her that everything will be fine? But it won't. Not with such a blow to the heart. The worst thing is when you are no longer a boy, but a man, and you see your mother falling apart, and you feel that you have to be strong. But you break down too, because this is not just a betrayal. This is the ground that was taken from under your feet. One evening, my mom finally made up her mind. She called him. She put the phone on speakerphone. Hello, it's me. Hi, Laura, I want to know, did you have her when I was in the hospital? Silence. A Jack, yes, he answered. She was. And the baby, is it true? Oh, yes. Mom didn't cry after that. It was as if she had pulled off everything that was holding her together. She just sat there in silence, no tears, without a single movement, like an empty doll. And then there's this thing that few people talk about. No, when you get older, you have fewer friends. And those who are left don't want to deal with drama. Especially with drama like this. Most of my mom's friends just stopped coming over. No one wants to see your broken eyes. Why did he do that? She asked me one evening. I don't know, Mom. Maybe because he was afraid that it would be over soon, and he wanted to feel alive again. She smiled bitterly. Am I dead? I started cooking dinner for my mom. I bought her medicine. I made her appointments with doctors. I became her father. She became my child. And all the time, I was seething with anger. How could he leave us two alone? I know you're angry, he said into the phone. You ruined everything. And then you just ran away, and I didn't run. I made a choice. No, Dad, that's not a choice. It's a betrayal. And then I heard something that blew my mind. Listen, son, I need help. Daisy. She's been demanding money. Not just any money, but a lot of it. And if I don't pay her, she's going to tell you something you don't know. Something that will change everything. I froze. I was starting to think that the worst was over. But it turned out that we had just come to the edge. There is something disgusting about learning about your father not from his mouth, but from the gossip of the neighbors. People you've been greeting for years, waving over the fence, and you think they are just acquaintances. But they knew more than you did. I was walking down the street with my coffee, just to exhale after getting a call from my dad. It was quiet, spring-like, an ordinary morning. I heard a familiar voice next to me. Oh, it's Anthony, Laura and Jack's son. How are you, dear? It was Mrs. Grace, our neighbor who used to sing in the church chair when she was young. She seemed to care about nothing but her garden and old recipes. But not that morning. I told your mother back then. She lowered her voice and moved closer. He was staying too long at Daisy's. Evenings and days. She's young and she's so. Well, open. I looked at her in surprise. You knew, even before Mom got sick. But, honey, these walls can hear everything. We all noticed. But who wants to be the bearer of bad news? It was like a slap in the face. My mother was lying under an intravenous drip and my father was having fun in the neighborhood. And the whole neighborhood was silent, as if it was none of their business. And now, when everything came out, everyone was happy to talk. That same day I met with Mr. Thompson. He was an old veteran, always with a newspaper under his arm. Your father, Elena knew, he once told me in a bar that he was tired of being a servant to an old sick woman. You heard that and didn't tell me. I clenched my fists. Did I know it would go so far? All the way back home I could not calm down. What I hit turned out that I lived in a street of liars. Each of them heard something, saw something, suspected something, and all of them were silent. Andy, the son who carried my mother to the hospital, ran for medicine, believed that my father was just tired, remained in the dark. Mom, I said at dinner, did you know that the neighbors were guessing? She nodded quietly. Do you think I'm blind? I saw how late he was, how he had a new collar. I saw those looks between them when she came into the yard. I didn't want to believe. And I didn't want you to know. I was tearing up. I wanted to go outside and scream. Why didn't you all say anything? I wanted to throw away Thompson's newspapers, burn Grace's pies, because they were not just spectators. They were part of this dirty conspiracy of silence. And then my mom suddenly setting. There was another man, a young man. He came to see Daisy several times. I thought he was her brother, but now I'm not sure. What man? He was 30 years old, a blonde hair, tattoo on his arm. I remember because he was smoking near our gate, and the ashes fell on my flowers. It was a new level of anxiety. Who was this man? And why did he come? Was he connected to what my father had hinted at on the phone? I decided to follow through. The next morning, I became the neighbor who was watching. I waited outside Daisy's house. And then I saw him. Blonde hair, scars on his arm, not a brother, not a friend, and definitely not just an acquaintance. They were hugging. Daisy whispered something in his ear, and he was laughing. I didn't know who he was. But I knew one thing: if my father was paying for his silence now, it wasn't just Daisy who was holding him by the throat. Something darker, more complicated, is at work. And maybe my father isn't the only one playing this game. He left everything behind: his wife, his home, his son. But there is someone whom he did not want from the very beginning, just did not want. And now this child is growing up with a question. Why doesn't Daddy come? I returned home after another round of surveillance on Daisy. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes you have to get your hands dirty to find out the truth. I sat in the kitchen and stared at one point. In front of me was a photograph, a child's drawing that I had found near a trash can near Daisy's house. There were stick people drawn, a big sun, a red house, and the caption, Mom, me, and Jack. Jack, his name is Jack. Noah, just like my father's. It can't be a coincidence. No one gives a child the name of your lover, unless it's their son. I couldn't wait any longer. I went straight to my father. He opened the door wearing an old t-shirt as usual. But his eyes. There was something new in them. Tiredness, shame. What do you want, Tony? The truth, I said, and handed him the drawing. He looked at it, and something in him shuddered. But only for a second. It's not mine. Don't play Sherlock, a Jack. The same window, the same Daisy. And it's not yours. I could hardly contain myself. So you think I'm an idiot? I don't owe you an explanation, he replied. It's my life. And my mistakes. He's not a mistake. He's a child. He's not a mistake. He's your son, and he doesn't even know who you are. Do you understand what it's like to grow up without a father? I grew up without him myself. Yes, he was physically there, but morally. He was always far away. Always at work, in the garage, in a bottle. Don't you even want to see him? I asked quietly. Just once. No, he said. Because if I see him, I won't be able to leave. And I had already left. I felt like I was torn in half. He recognized it. Yes, it's his child. Yes, he knows, and yes, he deliberately ignores him. And Mom, I added. Does she know? She knows. But not everything. I tried to. Just leave quietly. I thought it would be better. For whom? I snapped. For you. At home, I couldn't keep quiet. My mother and I were sitting on the veranda. As she was drinking tea, I was drinking wine. We were both silent. And then she said it herself. I knew he had a child. I heard Daisy talking on the phone. I heard her yelling, "Your son doesn't deserve to be silenced." And you didn't say anything. I had cancer, Tony. I was losing my hair, my weight, my hope. I didn't have the strength to find out why my husband had become a stranger. I just wanted to live. Everything I thought was true was crumbling like sand. I didn't know who to believe. And most importantly, what to do. My brother lived in that house a few yards away. A little one. An innocent. And I was just his shadow. From that evening I received a message. From an unknown number. It was one sentence. He asks about you every night. Daisy. She knew I was watching. Maybe she wanted me to. I looked at the messages and didn't know what to do. On the one hand, I'm not a father. I'm a brother. On the other hand, I was the only one who could give this boy anything but silence. I opened the card. I looked at the address. And I clicked on Set Route. And I didn't know if she would open the door, or if it would let me in. But I had to see him, at least once, because if his father doesn't want to see him, someone has to have the courage not to run away. I thought I had hit rock bottom, but then the lawyer appeared with an envelope, and a sentence that turned my whole life upside down. You are listed in your father's will. But you're not the only one. I stood on the porch of Daisy's house with shaking hands. The sounds of cartoons were coming from inside, children's laughter that made its way through the walls like something alive, warm, and alien. The door didn't open at the first knock. She looked up, her eyes puffy and tired. I knew you'd come," she said quietly. "May I come?" He was just drawing. A little boy was sitting on the floor with crayons, drawing the same sun and the same house that I had seen in the picture. He looked at me and just said hi. No fear, no wariness. As if he was waiting. "Hi, Jack." I barely managed to get out. His smile. Damn it, it was a copy of mine when I was a kid. Daisy and I were sitting in the kitchen. She didn't say anything until I spoke. "Hi, looks just like him." "I know," she said. "And that's why I wake up every day feeling like he's not coming back?" I asked. Daisy nodded, her eyes filled with tears. Aliuika never wanted this. I was young, stupid. I was flattered that a man of his age was paying attention. I did not know that he would leave everything, and me too. That evening I received a phone call. A lawyer. He said that my father had left a will and I had to come to the office. Nothing serious, just a formality, he added. But there was something, tense in his voice. I arrived the next morning. The lawyer, young, sleek, well-fed, like on TV, put an envelope in front of me. "Read it out loud if you don't mind." I opened it and read it. And with each line my hands grew cold. I, Jackson Rayner, being of sound mind and health, leave all my property, including my accounts, real estate, car, vinyl record collection, and tool garage, equally between my two sons, Anthony Rayner and Jack, Daisy Maris's son. I didn't know how to breathe. Everything was confirmed, signed, certified. He officially recognized Jack as his son, and me, his brother, to split everything in half. "Is it legal?" I asked. "Absolutely," the lawyer nodded. He wrote the will a few days before his heart attack. "Everything is formalized in accordance with all the rules." I left the office and sat in the car for a long time, holding a copy of the will. There was a hurricane inside. Anger, of confusion, and something completely incomprehensible. Why did he do this? Why did he leave everything to both of us? What is this, an attempt to apologize? To wash away the guilt? Or was it just a way to escape from life without ever having a decent conversation? He did what? Her mother was shocked them. He half. Not them. Mom, he did. Jack. Tony, but it's your father, and he abandoned us. He betrayed us. And now he wants to give it away like candy. Or maybe it's his way of saying, I wasn't perfect, but I accept responsibility. Mom was silent. Then she said very quietly, I just wanted something to be left after all these years. After all his disappearances, his lies. Just something. That evening I went to Daisy's again. But not in the house. I stood outside and watched them eat dinner, she and Jack. She was serving him pasta, he was laughing. Such a simple scene. But everything was pulsating inside me. I had to share everything with this boy, my possessions. The past. His surname. But most importantly, his father, whom he hardly knew. And whom, in the end, I didn't know completely either. I didn't know what to do next, whether to accept everything or fight. But what did I really want? Revenge, justice. Or just so that at least one of us would not be left empty-handed. I was sure that nothing could surprise me anymore. But Melanie, she knew more than she was saying. And when she opened her mouth, my whole life crumbled like an old wall. I felt like I was going in a circle. All the threads were coming together, but instead of answers, there was even more confusion. My mama Daisy was silent about the important things. My mother closed herself off. And my father, he left only a will and hints. I decided to talk to someone everyone thought was simple and sweet, Melanie, the wife of my best friend. Allah, we need to talk. I told her on the phone. I've been waiting for you to finally call. She replied, her voice surprisingly calm. We were sitting in a small coffee shop by the lake. The same one where my father used to take me for ice cream when I was a kid. The ironic symbolism of it all. Melanie showed up with a movie hairstyle, smooth hair, dark glasses, which she took off as soon as she sat down. "Are you ready to hear everything?" she asked. "If that's really all there is to it." She took a sip of coffee. She looked me in the eye. "I knew about them from the beginning," she said. "Who?" "Your father and Daisy. They met at the gym where he was rehabbing after knee surgery. She was working there at the time, doing her internship. He started out flirting, and then a stop. Was this before they started living next door? Much earlier. They knew each other long before she moved into that house." "You mean he rented that house across the street on purpose?" Yes, he did. He even arranged for the agent to give Daisy a discount on the rent." "But why?" I was almost shouting. "Why drag her out here in front of all of us?" "Because he was afraid he was getting old. And she was like a breath of youth to him. And she laughed at his jokes, touched his hand when she thought no one was watching, and he wanted to feel that he was still alive." Melanie continued. "He was obsessed. He bought her things. He even opened a separate account from which money was transferred to her every month. Daisy didn't take anything for nothing. She knew how to play the game. And you didn't say anything. Because you no one would believe you, and he's an exemplary father, a veteran, a decent family man. And I'm just your friend's wife. But why is this happening now?" Melanie put down her cup and looked me straight in the eye. "Because I'm tired of being silent. I saw how he destroyed your mom, how she went to bed every night in tears, and how you suffered trying to pick up the pieces. But that's not all," she said suddenly. She took a deep breath. I know who told your mother the truth. It was me. I was stunned." What?" I sent her an anonymous letter and pictures of Daisy and your father. I wanted it to stop. I wanted it all to come out. You. I couldn't breathe. You destroyed my family. Tony, I saved it. Because if this had gone on, Mom would have gone crazy. And you would have lived under the illusion that your father was a hero. I left the coffee shop with the feeling that my legs were not mine. Everything I knew was a lie. And everything I thought was a betrayal. Turned out to be a defense. But now I had to decide what to do with it. Because there was another conversation ahead. And this time it was with Daisy. You can live with someone for years without knowing the most important things about them. But the worst thing is to realize that you didn't know yourself either. I thought I had already hit rock bottom. But when I looked into Daisy's eyes, I realized that the bottom was still ahead. After the conversation with Melanie, I could neither eat nor sleep. Her words kept replaying in my head like a broken record. He rented her a house. The bill. Obsession. I didn't know what to expect from Daisy, but I had to find out why she hadn't spoken yet, and whether there was even a sherd of remorse in her. I knocked on her door at exactly 3 in the afternoon. You know how it is in the movies. Or when everything is quiet, even the wind, and only the heart is thumping, thumping. She opened the door right away. Without surprise, without a smile. "Hi," Tony said quietly. "Come in." I sat down on the couch, which smelled like something like vanilla and memories. The living room was quiet. There was a toy car on the table. A small one. Blue. I didn't dare touch it. "I know why you're here," she said, bringing 2 teas. "No theater. No tenderness. Say it directly." She sank down across from me. She took off her glasses. Her eyes were tired. "Your father was like a storm to me. He wore me down. I knew it was wrong that he was married, that I was too young. But when he was around, I felt like someone. Not just a neighbor, not just a kid. The Anne that was enough to ruin everything." No, she looked away. I didn't get pregnant on purpose. And even then, I didn't ask for anything. I didn't blackmail. I didn't demand it. I just left it at that. But he helped with money. Yes, through his lawyer. I haven't even had his phone number since he left. He disappeared. He just disappeared. Like a shadow. "Didn't you think about telling the truth?" I stood up. "Now, didn't you feel sorry for my mom?" "Me? You lived right across the street." "And you never looked me in the eye." She didn't answer right away. She looked at the floor. I was afraid. I'm not a heroine. I don't want to look strong. Because I am not. And you know what the worst part is? I loved him, and maybe I still do. Those words burned. She, who broke into our lives, destroyed everything and says she loves us. And my father? It turns out, he disappeared as soon as he heard the word, child. Does your son know who his father is? No, she whispered, and I don't know if I'll ever tell him. And he has a right to know. I looked at the typewriter on the table, because when he grows up, he'll ask, and he's going to be hurt, just like I am. Can you forgive? She asked. Me, no. And maybe I never will. I came out of there as if I were in someone else's skin. I washed my hands all the time at home. The shower did not wash away the feeling that I had touched something disgusting. But the worst thing was that I began to understand my father. He was getting old. He was afraid. He wanted to feel needed once again. But the price for this was too high, and it was not just him and Daisy who paid. Our whole family was paying. I looked at the night sky and asked myself, what if he had a reason? What if there's more to the story that I'm not aware of? My father's lawyer mentioned that the will was not the only thing he left behind. In the next episode, I will reveal what my father hid even from death. Sometimes you dig into someone else's life looking for dirt, and you find your own story, which you have long tried to forget. The past is not dust on a shelf. It is like a bone in the throat. You can't swallow it, and you can't get it out. The next morning after my conversation with Daisy, I received a call from my father's lawyer, Mr. Brock. His voice was, as always, calm, even almost emotionless. Mr. Tony, we have another matter. Your father left a rented safe deposit box. We didn't have access to it until we got the death certificate. And what's in it? No, I asked, my heart in my throat. I think you need to see it for yourself. The bank was in the old part of town, a red brick building, creaking doors, the smell of paper, metal, and time. I was greeted by a woman wearing glasses on a chain, a typical employee from the 90s. Safe deposit box number 28. You have the right of access as in here, she said, leading me down a narrow corridor. The inside was a small metal box. I held it in my hands like a bomb. What could my father have hidden that he didn't trust anyone, not even his wife? There was only one envelope inside, an old, yellowed envelope, and a folder with photos. I opened it and my heart started to race. The pictures were of him. Young, smiling, but not with my mom. With another woman, dozens of photos, hugs, dinners, vacations, children, other children, and among them me, a little one. But there is another woman next to me. Not my mother. I did not immediately realize that I was looking at my own childhood from a different perspective. In several pictures, I was holding the hand of a woman I did not recognize. But it was clear that we were close. She kissed me on the forehead. She was holding me in her arms. My father looked at both of us with a completely different look. I took out an envelope. There was a letter in it. It was written in his hand. Son, I don't know if you will ever find this letter. But if you do, it means I have nothing to lose. You need to know the truth. You are my son, but not the only one, and not the first. Before I married your mother, I had a family. A woman named Julia. She died in an accident when you were very young. I couldn't leave you with her family. I took you to my place, but your mother, she didn't know. I never told her. And she just accepted you as her own. And you grew up without knowing anything. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how. And then everything started spinning. Another job, another woman. Mistakes. I was a coward, Tony. And I deserve your anger. But I want you to know that I've always loved you. I just wasn't always the man I was supposed to be. I sat on a bench outside the bank, holding the letter that shattered my entire understanding of myself. I am not my mother's son, No, but she raised me. But she sat by my bedside at night when I was sick. She taught me how to tie my shoes. She read fairy tales. And all this without knowing who I really am. I called her. Oh, and for the first time after all the quarrels and silence. Mom, I need to talk. Not on the phone. Come over, she said. I found something, too, about your father. When I arrived at my mom's, she was holding a box, an small cardboard box. It contained documents, letters, photos, things that she had been saving all her life, silently. And in that box were answers that I didn't ask for, but I had to hear. And I imagine that you are already over 50, and you have always thought that you know who you are. And then one day it turns out that you have a brother, not a cousin, not some distant relative. He is your own, a blood brother. And all this time he has been living somewhere nearby. I was sitting at the kitchen table in my mother's house, looking at the cardboard box she was holding in her hands, and I could feel my fingers trembling. Mom, what is this? Something your father didn't want you to know. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were different. She pulled out some yellowed photographs. They were of him, Dad, the young man, and the boy, a dark-haired, with a smile that looked eerily familiar. This is your brother, Tony. My mother whispered. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just news. It was a blow that knocked the ground out from under my feet. Brother, his name is Alex. He's 2 years older than you at the picture. I lammed that smile. I saw it in the mirror. Oh, where is he? Or in New York? My head was pounding. My father lied to me my whole life. He committed adultery. He left a woman with a child. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to. But your father, he swore it didn't matter, that Alex had a life of his own, that you two should never meet. I wasn't listening anymore. Phone in hand. Name. A number. I deal with trembling fingers. A long dial tone. Once 2. 3 hello. A voice. Low. Sleepy. Alex, yes. My name is Tony. I think we're brothers. Silence, heavy as a rock. The next day I flew to New York, in a cafe in Manhattan. A man sits at a table. A summer raincoat. Eyes that I have already seen in the mirror. He looks at me as if he too sees a ghost. I sit down, so... You're Tony, and you're Alex. We are silent. And how long have you known? I ask. 2 weeks. I shudder. Because of the safe. No, he laughs bitterly. Because of the will. My father left me a letter. He looks me in the eye. I knew I had a brother, but I thought you didn't know about me. I thought you were. Happy. I'm laughing, it's a laugh of pain. Happy. My father lied to me all my life. And to me. Silence. I don't hate you, Alex says. I don't hate you either. And, what are we going to do now, brother? I look at him. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm not alone. The past cannot be changed, but the future is not yet written. Can Alex and I become a family? And what else was my father hiding? The answers are in the next episode. They say that everything secret sooner or later comes out. But there are some things that are better not to know. And especially if they change everything you've believed in all your life. I was standing in my father's office. The same one where Alex and I found the will. Now it was just the two of us. Not as strangers. As brothers. And on the table were folders, documents, yellowed photos. We went through them all. But there was one more, a locked drawer metal. Do you think we should? Alex asked. We've already come too far to stop. A combination was on a sheet of paper hidden behind an old book. My father wasn't being careful, he's being paranoid. Typed in the numbers. A tap. A click. The drawer slowly opened, and we saw a letter. A single letter. It's yellowed, broken at the folds. It's your turn to read it, I said. Alex took the letter. His eyes skimmed the lines written in a shaky handwriting. If you're reading this, it means I'm dead. It means the truth has come out. I loved you both, in my own way. But I was not a good father. I wasn't the man I wanted to be. You, Tony, had everything. A home, a mother, a chance at a normal life. You, Alex, were my sin, but also my chance for redemption. Your mother, Melanie, saved me at that time. But I betrayed her, and then I betrayed myself. I stole the truth from you. But it's not all here. Watch the video, if you dare. We looked at each other, both pale as death. We inserted the flash drive into the old laptop. My father's face appeared on the screen, aged, his eyes were sunken. He looked guilty, but not broken. So I'm recording this because I know that one day you will want to hear everything. Do you think I left Melanie? How about this? I didn't just leave her. I bought her silence. $50,000 to leave and never speak again. And she agreed. But not because she was afraid. She had a secret of her own. Alex, you're not my son, I found out later. But I couldn't go back. I was stuck with the lie. I built my own prison. The screen went off. We sat in silence. Minutes, everything merged into one viscous void. What does this mean? I whispered. Alex did not answer. His hands were shaking. His eyes were full of pain. He knew. And he didn't say anything. He finally said, I've been looking for my father my whole life, and he was just playing a role. I put my hand on his shoulder. But you are still my brother, with or without this truth. He didn't say anything. He just nodded. We closed the drawer. We burned the letter. We left the flash drive behind, not because we wanted to go back that video, but so as not to forget the price of silence. I went outside. The wind was blowing. The clouds. Everything was as usual, but something had changed. Not in the world. It was in me. I didn't want to know all the answers anymore, because sometimes it's better that some things stay buried. Leah, my father, died, leaving behind not only a broken family, but also a lot of questions. Was it worth it for me to learn the truth? Did it make me freer? Or just lonelier? Alex left the same day. He didn't say where he was going. We write to each other, but we're not the same. Something between us broke before it could be built. My mother doesn't say anything. She knew. But she didn't tell me. And I don't blame her. I just don't ask anymore. A life is not a detective story where all the riddles have answers. It's more like an old unsigned letter. You read it, you think, you feel. But you don't know what's true until the end. And what is just fear. A deek, if this story made you think, it means that everything was not in vain. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. Because the most interesting things often start after the ending. Thank you very much. And they take care of your truths. They do not always withstand the light. I hope you find this story interesting. Your feedback and suggestions and subscriptions are always welcome.